buddy. How are you?
Hey, doing great, David. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. I got to admit, the hat you wore the other day on the show, I hadn't seen you wear that hat before. I'm sure you've worn it, but it was like a, I don't know, like a Billy the Kid kind of, it was a good look.
Yeah, I bought that for spring meetings this year. So I went down there and to Destin. You kind of got to look the part when you're down there. You know what?
Yeah, you did look the part. So I want to ask you, we're going to talk Marcel, I'm sure you're aware. I want to ask you how you all come up with your rankings. Is it a week-to-week basis? Is it projections? And like, is it you and cousin Shane together? Just kind of explain the formula you use.
Yeah, not necessarily a formula, just eye test how these quarterbacks looked. And I will be changing this week to week, no doubt. But just after watching these quarterbacks, I don't care what their recruiting rankings are. I don't care what their draft grades are, if that's even a thing. Just how they look to me week one of the college football season. And I think I nailed it.
Okay, I don't think you nailed it. But in full disclosure, it doesn't matter what somebody's ranked, right? Like, trying to figure out what all these teams' quarterbacks did against inferior opponents, and oftentimes I don't think is a true metric for 14 weeks of a season potentially. Marcel at 12. Give me your reasons, and I probably have a few counters. So and I don't want this to be a debate show. I'm just trying to understand it.
Right. Well, and then first of all, I should say, again, in fairness to Marcel Reed, I think between like 4 and 12. I think they're largely interchangeable for exactly what you just said. You know, competition. Again, I'm going off one game resumes here when I'm ranking these guys. But I do have Marcel Reed, 12. It's interesting, David. I don't hear many Aggies saying, well, you put him over Arch. I mean, I've not heard that one time, which I think is fair.
Because Arch struggled.
Yeah, well, Arch did not look good, so I got him above Arch. But, again, going back to Marcel, I don't know what the game plan was here for A&M. I really don't. You guys would know better than I, but this is not what I was expecting from this team. It seemed like they were really trying to force the issue. To me, A&M, when they were awesome last year, number one in the SEC, what were they doing? They were running the football, and they were stopping the run. They didn't do either one of those against UTSA. So I just don't understand it. Are we trying to make him Dan Marino? If that's the plan, it's going to be a long season in College Station. Now, again, number 12, does that mean he's awful? No. There was a lot there. He had some big-time throws. He had some big-time misses as well. And you can look at his stats. His stats were incredible, right? But I think you've also seen this where I said, heck, I think Casey Concepcion, he might be the best player. I said he could be a Heisman winner, not a contender, a winner. He looked that good to me. So he's got Concepcion. Mario Craver was making spectacular plays that, yards after catch. So I think that all helped Marcel Reed. Overall, A&M just seemed out of sorts. And I would say of all the teams in the SEC that won week one, I would probably put them at the top of the list of the teams that I was the most unimpressed with in a win.
Okay. Couple things to retort, if you will. Austin Simmons threw a couple of picks, was sacked twice. Taylor Green, amazing sacks. I mean, amazing stats, but was sacked several times, or twice at least. Mateer threw a pick in his game. Sellers was sacked 4 times. Marcel did not throw a pick. Marcel did not get sacked. Marcel, actually, I think his numbers are more impressive because they didn't run the ball, because people were expecting them to run the ball, and they threw so much, and they threw effectively. So I almost feel like he shouldn't lose points for the defense giving up yards, and he shouldn't lose points for the fact that they threw so much. It was actually nice to see that he could throw in the middle of the field and open people up.
Well, I guess, but at the same time, I mean, in the third quarter, it was a ball game. So to me, I don't think this was an effective game plan. And again, they had a punt return for a touchdown. They had several kick returns that set up great field possession, and they started slow. And again, I was largely unimpressed with the overall game plan. Now they out-athleted UTSA, and when the game did get close, the defense locked down and completely suffocated them for, I believe, 6 consecutive drives. So that won them the game. But I don't know if this is the game plan, we're going to throw it all over the yard with Marcel Reed all season long. 7-5 is probably your record.
Okay.
Billy Lucci's
I just
here.
jumped in. Sorry, Mike. Chick-fil-A, they wanted to ask me 76 questions about my order, so it slowed me down. I'm with you. If they're going to line up and throw the ball, and that's going to be like, then
avoid their best
I
offensive
think,
player.
And if they can't stop the run, those two things, they'll be 7-5 or less. I don't see that at all on offense. I don't think it was a game plan to just go in and not run. I think maybe to not run Le'Veon Moss very much was probably part of the game plan. But I think they just said, okay, UTSA, you're going to do this, then we're going to throw, and it's good because we now have weapons to hit big plays, whether it's down the field or short, turn into big plays. Here's the thing. First game, quarterback rankings, I was going to ask you, and I heard a second ago, so I guess I know, like, that was based on one game, not last year. Because if you start to mix in last year, then that, to me, moves Marcel way up, and I think you had him up a lot higher maybe prior to the season. But I'm not defensive about it from the standpoint of it is one game against UTSA. My only thing is to listen to y'all. I think UTSA would beat not Virginia Tech, who Sellers played, and certainly not Clemson, who Nuss played. But a lot of those quarterbacks ahead, I think, and I say that UTSA might lose this weekend to Texas State. I think that's going to be a really exciting, fun game. But I think UTSA would beat some of those teams that the Alabama A&M, Illinois State, they might beat some of those teams by 35, 42 points. Like, they're pretty good. I'm not going to overhype them. We do that every year around the SEC when your team doesn't blow out, 50-0, one of these non-Power 5. I'm not going to do that. But that's a good group of 5 program or whatever we're calling them these days that would just absolutely obliterate some of the teams these other quarterbacks played against. So as long as we're sitting here saying it's next to impossible to judge, but 330 yards of offense, 4 touchdowns without a turnover. And honestly, I heard you say this, it was closer than expected in the third quarter. They cut it to 21-17, one play in. And then you look at Marcel, like on those 2 touchdown drives to follow. I think he was like 8 for 9 for 130 yards of offense and 2 touchdowns, and the game was over. So kind of when it hit a little moment. But anyway, quarterback position, guys, to me, and Mike, you and I talked about it all summer, it's going to be the storyline of this conference all year. Mm-hmm. So 1 week does not matter. And my only pushback more than anything else is they ain't going to sit back and just drop back and throw all season. I do think it's great that they have the ability, I think, to do that more so than they have in recent seasons. So that's going to, I think, help them get past 7-5 and 8-4 versus push them back to that. Anywho, what about Clemson and LSU? Seriously.
I'm still stunned by that. I mean, all the hype and hoopla over Clemson, which I thought was all overrated anyway. Heck, they've lost 4 consecutive games to the SEC, and they lost 4 games last year. And yet some people, knowledgeable people too, I think, had them as preseason number 1. They've got 6 first-round draft picks apparently. I didn't see any of that. I saw LSU dominate that football game. I know it was just a touchdown win, but really should have been a 2-touchdown because they essentially robbed them of a touchdown. But after the first quarter, I thought LSU completely dominated Clemson.
Yeah, no, you're right on about Clemson. I didn't put them number 1. I think I had them like fit, but I gave them more benefit of the doubt. I'm out on Klubnik. If I had my quarterback rankings in the ACC, I don't know where he'd be, but he would be. I'll put it this way: he would be behind Carson freaking Beck and Castellanos, who I would never have thought I'd be saying that today, but I do feel that way. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of Clemson, and I'm sick of Klubnik in terms of just not performing in those big games. So, 4 in a row to the SEC. So that brings up a interesting question that I've been wrestling with, because where do you stand on LSU? Because I'm like, second most impressive win of the weekend for the SEC. But also at the same time, I'm like, I am still in a TBD mode on Nussmeier for the Heisman and LSU to win the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing with LSU that was just so impressive, again, we go back to the quarterbacks. We always give them the praise, right?
Defense.
It was that defense.
Yeah.
The defense won them the game. Can they do that week in and week out? Now, they actually did look really good last season for about half the year, and then teams found out that you could just run a quarterback on them and they can't stop it. So that's not something that Klubnik has in his game necessarily. So how do they defend a running quarterback? That's still a big question that I have for LSU. But, man, if they have this caliber of defense for the rest of the season, I am still questioning their offensive line. I think is a question mark. Caden Durham, their sophomore running back, he's really good too. So, I mean, I did not have LSU as a playoff team. But if their defense plays to this level all year, they may win the conference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree because I'm looking at the conference, and if you told me, well, who you picking over them right now, and if we're going off of 1 week and we're going off of I do think that was a statement. I don't think Clemson's offense is that good, but they held them to 1 touchdown, and you just watch it, right, Mike? You watch the football game, you go, that defense looked.
They look good.
Good. I guess I would say I'd bump them from I thought they were going to be 9-3 to I could see them being 10-2 in a playoff team. And if they get in the SEC title game with that, great. But they were one of the few teams that I watched this weekend that my eyeballs said they looked better than I thought they were going to be. Who did you see, Mike, that was the opposite?
Who disappointed? I mean, I think we already know that, don't we? It's Alabama.
Yeah.
I
should have said without them, but I do want to hear your thoughts on Alabama.
I mean, good night. That was the team I thought that was my preseason pick to win the SEC. I mean, that's comical at this point in time.
Both of us.
Everything we heard leading up to the offseason was they've corrected it. They kept everybody out of the portal in the spring. We got Ryan Grubb. This is a new era, and it's just the same old for Florida against Florida State, where you're nearly a 2-touchdown favorite. They didn't look like they belong on the field with Florida State, and that's embarrassing. So. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't made a move already to fire that defensive coordinator. He's like the anti-Saban, and I don't know that they get it fixed overnight because you're hearing excuses. Well, they don't have the money of A&M and Texas. Money's not the problem, or at least the roster is not the problem. You cannot look at Alabama right now with a top 5 roster in all of college football and say they don't have what it takes to compete. They have the players, and I was told they have the coach. But I think A&M may have dodged a big-time bullet not landing Kalen DeBoer. I know they were interested in him. I don't think that guy's cut out for the Southeastern Conference. I really don't.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. It certainly doesn't feel like. By the way, here's my thing on coaches who are in programs and former players. I heard A.J. McCarron crying about it. Still not sure if he purposely didn't wake Johnny up at the Manning game. Kidding. That whole deal. You talk about the ultimate he said, she said. But no, I hear McCarron saying he knows the teams with $40 and $50 million. I'm going to tell you this. I know for a fact, I don't think there's a single program in college football that has a $40 million roster. Not one, first of all. So when you say 40 to 50, now I think programs are spending in the 30, like some of your very top are clipping into the 30s, okay? That's a 25% more, or it's really a 33% more difference to get up to 40. And to say 40 to 50, it's just insane, and it's sour grapes. And when McCarron and when Bama's winning titles based on when no one was supposed to be paid a cent, and you're a complete dumbass if you think otherwise, and then you hear Mike Gundy crying about Oregon and Dan Lanning when, if you're from this area, you remember Mike Gundy swooping into Houston and inexplicably getting what would have been 5-star players and getting all these players that, Texas, Oklahoma, and A&M were recruiting back, and that was before he had kind of built that thing to what he got it to at some point. But to hear Alabama football and Mike Gundy complaining about other teams' roster amounts, that just makes me laugh, and I think it's the stupidest thing in college sports today. And like you said, they certainly have a roster to go into Tallahassee and beat Florida State.
So I want both of you guys to chew on this. Mike, this was a topic from one of your shows where you said, what if Arch has the season that Jackson Arnold had last year for Texas? What happens to Texas then? Billy, you want to start us off?
Well, I want to hear his take, but he and I love talking about this. But if that happened, first of all, if that happened, Jackson Arnold would probably have a better year this year than Arch Manning. But if that happened, I mean, I don't think. I mean, there would be nothing to actually happen other than there would be a lot of receipts cashed, not just here in College Station, not just for SEC Mike, but around the country. Mm-hmm. Not of people that said Arch Manning was going to be as bad as Jackson Arnold was last year, and I don't foresee that, but just people that had the audacity, like a Jordan Rodgers or somebody, just to say, hey, I don't think he's as good as the hype. I think he's inexperienced, and that in the SEC is going to be tough. That in the horseshoe is going to be tough. He's going to have some growing. Anyone that said that, including the guy we're talking to, got attacked and buried on social media by angry mobs of Texas fans. So today they're moving the goalposts all week. I'm seeing his stats compared to Colt McCoy's first game and Peyton Manning's and Vince Young, and there's just so little context and all that. I could show you 200 quarterbacks that sucked, 500, 1,000 of them, and I could compare those stats. They're looking at the fourth quarter and saying that, he got, but no, he didn't. His second to last throw of the game cost them a chance to tie it. Wide open guy. So what they're doing now, and now they're blaming the national media. We didn't do this. We didn't. My ass, you didn't. We all had to hear it. So I'm sorry for the rant. I want to hear Mike's version, but to me, it's the most ridiculous thing I've seen is what's happening this week out of Austin. And I'm saying that as somebody that thinks that dude's going to be way better than he showed on Saturday, and probably this year. I'd still take the odds that he has a really good year, but I do think there was enough to say, okay, can he go into Athens and win? Can he go into the Swamp and win? Can he avoid an upset? Can he win in a rivalry? I mean, I do think those are fair questions now.
Yeah, in comparing Arch and Jackson Arnold on the face, I mean, that seems like a ludicrous comparison. But just the more I thought about it, I mean, how soon we forget Jackson Arnold was a 5-star, and they pushed out Dylan Gabriel for him. What did they do to Quinn Ewers? Pushed him out for Arch Manning. Offensive line. It seemed like a real issue to me for Texas against Ohio State, albeit one game, totally reworked unit. But that was the issue for Jackson Arnold. And the only other thing is Jackson Arnold had his receivers all get injured. So, we're already starting to see that at Texas. They're already down a receiver. So, I mean, the parallels are kind of there. I'm kind of with Billy. I think Arch will bounce back. Certainly the next couple games, San Jose, Sam Houston, all these cupcakes they got to play. But the real test is going to come, like you said, in the Swamp. That's on the road. I think Florida's really good this year. The very next game, Oklahoma, Cole Kublik, it's got Oklahoma as the best defensive line in the conference and maybe the country. So, Arch could be running for his life. And if he is Jackson Arnold 2.0 this season, I think Texas is probably going to go 8-4, maybe 9-3. But, silver lining for Texas, as bad as Arch looked, I thought the defense looked, the opposite. Yeah. They looked elite to me. So I think the defense can't carry them.
And they've got a running
game. The college football playoff. I don't know. I think they need Arch to win them a game or two if they're going to make the playoff.
I agree, especially if you look at that road trip to Athens and look, go back to these quarterback rankings. Gunnar Stockton thought he ran well. If he's going to do that all year, does he survive? But they got to go to Georgia. if they don't win there against a top 5 team on the road, like you said, they got to win out and go beat. I mean, look, they still drew Kentucky, Vandy, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. They still drew that. That's half of their conference schedule, which is insane. And I say that as someone that covers A&M. A&M drew 2 of those 4. But they drew all 4. And I know it's not old Vandy. Hell, maybe Vandy and Diego Pavia. Maybe that's a danger zone game for them, even in Austin. So it's interesting. You look at those next 3, they certainly have time to get it right. But by God, they don't play FCS schools like the rest of the SEC. We're going to keep putting up a stat that Texas hasn't played an FCS school in 12 years and put it on Twitter and celebrate it. You want to talk about a damn moral victory. We didn't play an FCS school. Who gives a damn? Nobody cares. You're playing
Sam Houston, not FCS. Did they upgrade?
They're not. They did. They bumped up.
Okay.
But Sam Houston, San Jose State. Who was that third one? I didn't even see it. UTEP. UTEP
just lost to Utah State.
Yeah. Man. All right.
Hey, Mike, we appreciate
Murderer's Row right there.
we appreciate
Wait,
that,
I got a question for him. How's Shane? Give me his temperature. First of all, has Cracker Barrel refollowed him since the rebranding back to the old, and then what are his thoughts right now on Cracker? Was that like a big victory over there in Tennessee for him?
Yeah, and believe it or not, before the rebranding, before they unveiled the new look of the restaurant, so that was like a week prior. They blocked Shane for the second time.
Yeah,
he remains blocked.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the logo controversy. I mean, it's kind of transparent that. And hey, we like Cracker Barrel. Their headquarters is literally right down the street from where I'm talking to you. They don't know what in the world they're doing. They literally blocked their biggest fan. He could save the brand, but they would never know it because they haven't blocked.
What a content idea for you guys to film Shane going into the corporate offices of Cracker Barrel and trying to get an explanation as to why he's blocked. It would be amazing. Or just to go into I think corporate would be the way to go. Or you could go into a Cracker Barrel and kind of ask the waitress if you could talk to a manager and go, hey, I just want to know why I'm blocked with just a plate of chicken and dumplings in front of him. Anyway, there you go. Hey, before we go, obviously OU Michigan's going to get all the headlines this week. Who do you got in that one? And then just real quick, what's your second SEC game that you're second most interested in?
Yeah, definitely number 1, Oklahoma, Michigan. I like Oklahoma 2017. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to watch Michigan's true freshman Bryce Underwood, but I think he's the real deal. I really do. And I think Michigan could win this game, but if you're telling me first road start against a Brett Venables defense, I lean Oklahoma just to force him to make a mistake or two. That'll probably be the deciding factor. I love what I've seen from John Mateer. I think he's the real deal. So give me Oklahoma there. And then the other one, probably Kansas, Missouri. Missouri should win that one, but man, I'm telling you, I know you probably don't have a lot of Missouri listeners, but they have been talking about this game for 2 years. Yeah. This is a huge, huge game. I think there's a lot of pressure on Missouri and this team to get this win. I think that added pressure, they may be tight in this one. So it wouldn't stun me if Kansas pulls the upset here.
I think I actually picked the upset. No offense to our friend Maggie up there, and I'm sure you've sparred with her before.
She'll get on you.
Yeah.
Mike, I love how you know all the personalities online that'll come after you.
Because they've all come after me.
Boat as, we get tagged way too much. You know?
By the way, I did notice that Mike did mention that he may move up Marcelo's rankings if you come after him. He did say that on the video. I did see that.
Man. You got to worry more.
Marcel, again,
you got to worry more about. Yeah, you made him the 12th man.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks in this conference right now. I'll just say that.
I think he's going to move way up, but just kind of like Mateer, we're not going to know it. You're going to learn a lot more about Mateer this weekend. You're going to learn a lot more about Marcel the weekend following. At some point, Gunnar Stockton's going to get tested, and at some point, Austin Simmons is going to get tested.
Yep.
Maybe it's by Mark Stoops' Kentucky defense. I doubt it. But, at some point, each of these guys are going to face a real test. We know when Mateers is coming and we know when Reed's is coming. So it's all going to sort itself out.
Right. And then one other game, if I could mention real quick, South Florida at Florida.
Oh, yeah.
That's an undercard there because South Florida just absolutely steamrolled a ranked Boise team in the opener. Billy Napier loses that one. All of a sudden, Kalen DeBoer's seat looks pretty cool because I don't know how long's Napier's got if he's losing to South Florida at home.
Yep.
Mike, we appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.